There's a lot more hiding in the endless yellow of Backrooms than you think. From nods to the source to hints about the ending, here are all the Easter eggs you might have missed. Spoilers ahead. One of the very first things to note is the date of the extended found footage recording that opens the movie, June 19th, 1990. As you probably know, Backrooms is based on a web series created by director Kane Pixels. The movie doesn't dive too deeply into the lore of that series, although Parsons has said he made sure to keep the continuity of the overlapping storyline, which makes this choice of setting within the timeline particularly interesting. Based on that date on the CCTV recording, it takes place less than a month after the Async Research Institute dealt with employee Peter Tench, who briefly went missing after a failed exploration mission. It's through his story that we learn it's possible to travel through time while navigating this space. Tench died shortly after attempting to escape from Async's observation facility, which is when the company reluctantly revealed to employees that they had lied about his death in the first place. What this means is that when Clark enters the Backrooms on June 29th, the realm is being more closely monitored than before to ensure they don't risk repeating that incident. Mary follows behind days later. It's unclear how long of a gap, but presumably no later than mid-July. And after being taken in for questioning by Async, she's told that her fate is being decided on, not just by the scientist in front of her, but someone driven mad by the Backrooms and stopped from returning to the real world just weeks earlier. It's fairly easy to read between the lines and suggest they'll be taking extra precautions with Mary here. Mary's a sort of middle-of-the-road therapist in the film, but she must have had high hopes of becoming a best-selling author when she published her book, The Window Within. That book isn't a prominent part of the story, but it has a few surprising layers to it. Both the title and the tagline, Break Through the Pain, thematically evoke the idea of moving through worlds, which is sort of what the whole movie is about, on different levels. But even the title itself seems to allude to one of the less easily explained moments in the film. The last we hear from Kat before her off-screen death is that she's trapped in a room adjacent to Clark. He can't see her because there's a wall in front of him, whereas on her side, it's a window, and she can see the creature behind him. The movie cuts away then, but when we pick up with Mary in her office, Clark has since left a mysterious voicemail saying that he's opened the window and won't be coming back. It signifies that he's metaphorically or literally broken through the pain and decided to stick around in the Backrooms in a misguided attempt to fix his past mistakes. This one is a blink-and-you'll-miss-it Easter egg for fans of Parsons' other YouTube series, The Oldest View. Another liminal space horror set behind the walls of the recently closed Valley View Center Mall in Dallas. If you pay close attention in the movie, you can see that the name of the company demolishing Mary's childhood home is Reverchon Ventures. That won't mean a thing to casual viewers, but longtime fans of Parsons' work get the nod. In The Oldest View, the vlogger protagonist was chased by a gigantic puppet known only as the Rolling Giant, named because it had wheels instead of feet.
I'm leaving.
The design of the Rolling Giant is based on the likeness of French botanist Julien Reverchon, who in the late 19th century moved to Dallas to teach at the College of Medicine. Name-dropping the inspo behind one of the scariest analog horror creations in recent years is a nice touch. When Clark first discovers another dimension behind the downstairs walls of his showroom, he initially just encounters furniture untidily piled up, which looks like it could have been dragged through the walls by one of his disgruntled junior employees. Exploring further, however, we get our first reveal of the newly introduced aspect of Backrooms lore: that the individual memories of anybody who enters can be warped and replicated by this space. And in a room with some shoes on the floor and a lopsided throne, things start getting a little personal when Clark finds a stuffed toy parrot. It's in this room where Clark first hears the footsteps of the creature beginning to approach him, and the appearance of the toy parrot is the earliest suggestion that it has already taken his form from the store's delightfully lackluster TV commercial.
Need bed bumps for the scallywags' quarters? We've got it all!
It's foreshadowing, really the first real clear one of what the finale will include, and it's hidden in plain sight. The unpredictable geography of the Backrooms and the surprises which lurk behind each corner wouldn't have made us guess straight away that the ultimate villain would resemble something we were introduced to before either of the two lead characters made their way through the walls for the first time. Props to costume designer Micah Cade for this one, because a single shot of a t-shirt manages to say even more about a character's psychology than an entire therapy session ever could. Nothing gets under Clark's skin more than being told he's no longer an architect, his dream profession which he's long since abandoned to run his failing furniture outlet. Before he enters the back rooms, it's the most reliable way to make him angry. We don't have an image of it right now, but when he's sleeping in the store after being booted out by his wife, he goes to bed wearing a faded t-shirt with a logo for the Modernist Design Forum 1970. That suggests that he's now 2 decades removed from his glory days in that profession. That's also part of the reason the Backrooms lures him in to the architecture, which ignites a passion he hasn't expressed for decades. The t-shirt is a tiny detail, but it's all part of the intentional characterization of Clark, according to Parsons.
More so, I think he kind of fell into the bottom of a fishbowl and he's not really quite getting out. He very much lives in the past.
Holding on to the glories of his past is what eventually dooms Clark. The signs were always there that he'd never want to leave. Here's another scene where Micah Cade deserves accolades for her costume design. After Bobby is wired up and sent down a steep passage to film what's inside, he enters a room filled with endless piles of clothes. So, is this where the creature puts its victim's belongings after a kill? Not exactly. As mixed in with a pile of clothes, you will see the tee Bobby was wearing in the earlier scene where he filmed Clark's commercial, the white-end apartheid tee. This is another early indication of how the Backrooms warps an individual's memories upon entering rooms, feeding off Bobby's subconscious to replicate items from his wardrobe. The fact he is swiftly dragged back down and killed by the creature after filming there suggests that when enough of your personal memories have been regurgitated, it's easier for you to be located in this vast network of rooms. We don't see the shape of the creature that kills him as he's dragged further underground, but based on the fact Clark was dressed in his pirate costume while Bobby was wearing the specific tee we see at the top of one of the piles, it may have already morphed into giant pirate Clark by this point. It'd take a rewatch and the ability to pause, but it's possible that there are even more Easter eggs in those piles of clothes. In the cold open, we see banners in the back rooms which have grown out from their walls with mirror image typography, and the same is true when Clark first steps through and encounters a stop sign which has been mirrored. As he later tells Mary after tying her up, the Backrooms is a place that remembers things slightly wrong, and the uncanniness of the replications is because they have quite noticeably got one key detail wrong. After Mary escapes from Clark's clutches and attempts to outrun the giant pirate Clark, her route takes her past a suburban street and an endless room of doors, gradually leading her back to a replica of Clark's furniture store. Here, though, the signage around the store hasn't been reversed, appearing in perfectly legible English. Later, as we see more of her memories manifested in the back rooms, other words have been copied effectively too, like a shelf of her books and a missing poster. These little changes suggest that the back rooms has grown to better resemble human patterns of speech, even if it still feels uncomfortably far off the mark.
Clark, what is this?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
During one of the found footage segments, there's a very intentional callback to the meme that started it all. If you've been following Backrooms lore for a while, you probably know that the whole thing began with this photo, which was posted to 4chan in 2019. That was the inspiration for Parsons' lore-building web series, and Parsons paid tribute to that inspiration in the movie with a very brief shot that's set up and framed a lot like that photo. That's nice on its own, but there are actually even more layers to the tribute. Internet sleuths eventually tracked the photo's location to a furniture store in Wisconsin that was being renovated into a hobby town location. The connection there is clear too. Clark runs a furniture store in the film, which is where he finds the entrance to the back rooms. And if you think about it, what better place to put a gateway to the liminal spaces of the back rooms? Furniture galleries are basically a surreal tableau of the real world already, with their half-built walls separating pretend living rooms and dens and bedrooms. It's a kind of halfway reality that makes the perfect stepping stone between the real world and the back rooms. Whether that was intentional or not, it's a nice touch. When Mary wakes up to be interrogated by Phil, she is questioned specifically about Clark and her relationship to him. Did she see him down there, and was she deliberately entering the space to try to find him? Curiously, the evidence Phil provides is a CCTV photo from Clark's first expedition there. But the cardboard cutout he encountered has been redacted with a black square. Phil is reluctant to give her any additional information about the space, what Async are researching specifically, or even what her fate will be once the questioning is over. But the very fact that the cardboard cutout man has been redacted makes it clear that they don't want to make that aspect public, for whatever reason. Could it be because its existence indirectly implies they're attempting to make contact with something? Or, as fans have theorized, is the caveman image used for the cutout part of an attempt to begin human evolution from the start, creating a whole new life form altogether? One suggestion that the creature may indeed be evolving is that it's now more recognizably humanoid than in the web series. There, it was introduced with a spindly, jet-black abstract body.
That's not a person.
What is that?
On her way to the interrogation room, we also got a glimpse into a room that gives us another breadcrumb into what Async is doing. They probably need endless backups on hand, since there's, a violent creature roaming around, but it still doesn't give any clear-cut answers as to the main purpose of the things. Either way, this single shot of a redacted image leaves us with more questions than answers and opens a whole world of fan theories. It makes you wonder how the life form will have evolved by the next time you see it.